this time, I'm asking Brother Orren Merren III, who is the chairman of the General Assembly of the Church of God Chapels in the Cayman Islands, to bring a few greetings, remarks, and reflections. I am grateful that though he was overseas up until, I think, just yesterday.
No, we didn't go to the White House COVID.
Oh, sorry. Well, there you go. I was misinformed. Nevertheless, we are delighted that he's here to share in this occasion. Brother Orren?
Hello, everybody. Brother Roy, or Dr. Roy Budden, is our distinguished board chairman, is one who speaks without a note and always pulls it off perfectly. So I'm going to try that tonight too. You might have to bear with me though. Brother Roy when he was in the Legislative Assembly or now Parliament, he used to speak for 2 hours straight without a note. And I would go and listen to him, and he'd always make sense. I never saw anybody that could speak extemporaneously and clearly and cogently and hold it together so long. But he can do it. And he still's got the knack, Brother Roy. You do. Anyway, a few reflections. I think the most important thing about Triple C School is, Brother Roy mentioned it was the first secondary or tertiary school in Cayman. That is true, and I wasn't around in the 1940s when that was happening, but my father and my Aunt Ina were, along with dear sister Jackson, that prayed for God's wisdom, God's direction, God's blessings and providence for Triple C School, or what was to become Triple C School. They were just praying for their nieces and nephews and the children of the Cayman Islands to not have to go off after they got through elementary or primary school to Jamaica, United States, Canada, England, and the like. That there be a provision for them to continue their education right here in Cayman. And their prayers bore fruit, and they got the missionaries of that day, who became Dr. Leslie Ratzlaff, of blessed memory, to call for to get that started, and then when they moved on to Jamaica after 1 year, to call for someone to come and carry on the new work that had been started. And Sister Ratzlaff knew my mother from times that they spent together in Anderson, Indiana. And my mother then was called to come down and continue it after the Ratzlaffs went off to Jamaica. Now, got to put historical context into this. How am I doing, Brother Roy? This is all off the cuff. I get two thumbs up from Brother Roy. I better keep going then. So the historical context is very important. 1941, as anyone who studied a little bit of history knows, was the middle of World War II. And it was perilous times because the waters around Cayman were sometimes being torpedoed, boats were being torpedoed, and it was not safe to be here. And it certainly was not times for a thriving economy. Cayman was a little backward fishing village, as the old saying goes, that time had forgot. When my mother said she was going to the Cayman Islands, people would look for it on the map and couldn't find anything. But she came here during World War II. She had to go through Florida, then to fly to Havana, Cuba, then to what was then Isle of Pines. Now I think they call it Isle of Youth. And there she got a sailing boat that was captained by a Caymanian named Captain Curry Ebanks, which was the father of our dear sister Marjorie Ebanks, who later became principal of Triple C School. That's how God works things. And my mother had heard stories about pirates, and she was on this tiny little sailing boat, and Captain Curry had a red bandana, had his head tied up in a red bandana, and she thought, oh my God, am I going on a pirate ship? But he couldn't have been more kind and hospitable to her. She was the only woman on a boat. And she says, well, where do I sleep? And he says, well, over here. And no privacy now, you know, so he put up a sheet. But anyway, he made it. Apparently, my mother told the story about that the first few days it was calm and they didn't go very far. Then the winds picked up and they overshot, came and had to come back. But eventually got here. Needless to say, mosquitoes, as the Mr. Can't remember his name, the man with the cranes, Mr. Moxon, yes, Mr. Rupert Moxon used to say that he was here from time mosquitoes were their only form of defense. Well, my mother was here during that same time. And those days at church and in school, you had to have smoke pots to keep them at least away from you for a while. They'd always find you somehow, I believe, but if you had a smoke pot going, or later, I think, more modern version was black flag that had a little coil and you could light it up. You don't see that anymore, right? Not anymore. At least I haven't seen it around. But yeah, she had to fight off the mosquitoes, and she got CCC through its first couple of graduating classes. And if you have been blessed to receive one of these lovely brochures that Sister Marjorie put together for the CCC Endowment Fund, you open to the first page, there's my mother with her first graduating class. And out of that were a couple cousins of mine, but also one of them was a lady who would go on to be a doctorate of education. Miss, help me somebody. Virginia Bodden, yes. And she worked in the education system in New Jersey. I believe it was Elizabeth, New Jersey. There as an educational specialist, having graduated from the first class of CCC school. I think that was quite a testimony of what she went on to achieve, and many others in that class also achieved great things. And then after my father asked her to marry her, and she said, well, not so fast. I heard you're a confirmed bachelor, and I don't know if I'm ready for anything like that. And so it took him about 7 more years to get the courage to ask her again. And then along came me, very late in life to both of them, and that ended her career as principal at CCC. I want to say, going back to how CCC school was birthed, not just that it was a need for education, but the prayers that the people of God, my father, Mr. Orren Merren Jr., my Aunt Ina, of blessed memory, and Sister Jackson, all had the prayer fires burning. And when things are birthed in that kind of intense, enduring prayer, good things happen. Yeah. And you bring God in as your partner. And I think that's what CCC School can rightly say, that it was birthed in prayer, and it has always been a ministry, not just a school. It's a ministry of the Church of God Chapels, but it's to, as the name Creative Christian Character suggests, it's not just about education, it's about creating creative Christian character. Some of you may have heard the story how CCC got its name, but for those of you who have not, I'll share it with you tonight. This afternoon, I guess, sun is still out. CCC had no name. It was just the school that the Church of God sponsored. They wanted to name, my mother said they wanted to name it after her. She says, no, you can't name it after me. It'll last longer than me. So she said, I want the students to tell me what they think is important and what CCC is and should be. And she said, put one word down you think that best represents what you think CCC should be. And she said she put all the names in a big thatch hat, dumped it out on her bed, and first three that came out were creative Christian characters. She says, that's it, we'll call it CCC. So that's how CCC got its name. And CCC to this day is a ministry. And you are going through an experience. Life goes pretty fast when you get up in years like me. But during those formative years of CCC, it goes by very fast, but you will be getting taught about how to be a Christian and how to represent your family, your country, your Cayman Islands, and CCC school and everything else that you represent, how to represent it with integrity and good conscience and everything else that goes with being a faithful Christian. That's what you can and should leave CCC having, not just an education, but a readiness for life. I attended CCC school for the first 5 years of my education. Then my father died and my mother returned to teaching in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And I had a dear sister, Wilma Watler, that my mother recruited here after the school was growing. She got more teachers to come and help her. And one was Sister Wilma Watler. She was my teacher for kindergarten, first grade, second grade, then I got a break and got Sister Chapman, and then I went back to the Sister Wilma in fourth grade. So I guess I got some help getting started. Dear Sister Wilma. I also want to pay tribute to our current pastors who, in going through the strategic plan, recognize that the church that sponsors this school is and must be one of the major stakeholders, the major stakeholder of the school. And our pastors all want to not just pray and support financially, but they also want to give of themselves into the lives of the students at CCC school. I heard that from all of them, that they wish to be a part of assemblies, but they wish to be known, not just people that they hear about or see occasionally, but they want to be known to the student body, the teacher's body. By the way, I also feel that it's not just ministering to students, it's also ministering to staff and teachers at the school. It's a Christian school that must be a ministry to everyone who comes through those halls. And I think that's one thing that I hope will be strengthened even more, is ministering to teachers and staff at CCC school, because I believe that's how you really build the foundation and gird it up for ministering to students through teachers. So I guess with those ramblings, Brother Roy, I'll wrap it up and say God bless you all, and may CCC have a few more years to continue its ministry. By the way, I'll leave you with this. Dr. Ratstock, when he came to our 75th anniversary celebration for the church, he says, when you have your 100th anniversary, be sure to have me back. Well, we can have him back in blessed memory, but we won't see him again in person, so we have to make the most of the time that's given to us.